Lock Chapter 326 has just released. The Nigeria game has wrapped up as we move on to the next games of the U20 World Cup. We get BLUELOCK Celebration, Nigeria's final reactions, and the new Gen 11s making their appearances reacting to the first match. This chapter was genuinely insane, as well as an introduction to a completely new character. There's a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it quick. The chapter picks up with the crowd celebrating. Isagi's mom and dad are getting hyped, Bachira's mom too, and the announcer shouting goal. We see Isagi's jersey as the next page reveals Bachira jumping on top of him with Corona shouting out too. The announcers say Isagi Yoichi, Japan's ace, scores the final goal. And this is literally all of us celebrating, yes, you and me, because even if you didn't like this match or Isagi's goal, you're probably excited for this match to end. They talk about the 4-0 score and how they won in a landslide victory. Bachira and Isagi dap each other up, and for some reason, Bachira kind of looks like Isagi here. I can't be the only one who thinks so. Bachira says telepathy, referring to the last pass, and Isagi says he's the best. Since it's him, he knew he would pass, and Bachira smiles, saying only he could have made such an egotistical pass. The OG duo celebrating is so wholesome, you just love to see it, man. And yeah, hats off to Bachira because his stats were genuinely insane in this game. 1 goal and 3 assists. Keep in mind there was 4 goals in total. Corona Mario jumps celebrating with the boys too, saying both of them were super cool, and Isagi compliments him too. We do gotta give props for the last clear because that's literally what gave Isagi the ball. And this man, Raichi, turns to the crowd and starts shouting to the audience, saying he defended it. He, Raichi Jingo, kept them at 0, which is literally the most Raichi thing ever. And it gets all the more funny when you realize he only played for 15 minutes and had like 1 block. He's somehow taking all the credit. But it's Raichi, so we can just excuse it. He always acts like this. We see the other BLUELOCKers' reactions. Rin is just ticked off, and bruh, Rin cannot be happy about a single thing in this world. I'm convinced bro is just the mayor of Frown Town. There is 0 happiness in his life, even after winning 4-0. We then jump over to Barou's and Shido's reactions. I know a lot of y'all are jumping for joy seeing them after 4 long months. Barou just comments saying that it was a bad game. He's like the other half of the BLUELOCK community who just wanted the Nigeria game to end. Shido jumps in too, saying he agrees and that he's all pent up. And hey, yo, what does he mean by that? Shido participating in a certain event that happens in November. And that's probably why he isn't playing till the France match, where it's perfectly timed in December instead. I'm on to you, Kaneshiro. I just can't prove it. I do gotta say, seeing these two again was a breath of fresh air, getting their interactions and whatnot. Also, if I'm remembering correctly, this is the first time Shido and Barou have actually interacted, which is pretty cool. Corona and Bachira just start doing a random combined shark celebration, which is low-key fire. And then someone calls out Isagi's name holding a water bottle. It's none other than our Captain Aiku, who tosses the bottle towards Isagi and says that was a crazy move he tested out. How much did he calculate of that play? Isagi picks up the water bottle and responds by saying he didn't though. That last shot was an ad-lib, going in depth about how he was expecting Onazi's awakening, but didn't know whether he would trap or shoot until the very last moment. Isagi, sipping on his drink, tells Aiku he got the idea the moment he stopped Onazi, so he wanted to try it out with his shot instead. Which is pretty bonkers if you ask me. Isagi saw that Aiku stopped Onazi and then in 1 single minute stole the whole play and made it his own. I kinda understand Kuso's glaze now. Anyways, Aiku understands it now as he talks about Isagi Yoichi. The speed of his thinking and ideas have improved. He even devoured Ego's plan with his own egoism. He said the thing, man. He out-egoed Ego himself, and this could really mean 2 things. Isagi is like that, or he's in for a rude awakening during the France match. I'm also curious to what Ego's reaction to Isagi was too. Part of me thinks Ego is happy to see Isagi keep innovating, and the other part of me thinks Ego is like a Master Shifu and Tai Lung. Bro's now coming for his own throne. Isagi thanks Aiku, saying he could experiment because of him, and a more wholesome Isagi moments. I'm not gonna lie, this was not how he was treating Hiyori and Karasu during the training, so I don't know what that was all about. We then get Nigeria's reaction as everyone is in shambles at their complete and utter defeat. Bello says damn it, and a Boabona says a complete loss, as we see all of Team Nigeria staring at the scoreboard of 4-0. I just gotta say though, everyone but the main four and Sadiq cannot be hitting this pose. What were they all doing this game besides lollygagging? The other Nigeria members were just doing cardio, so they got no right to complain, talking about some everything is destroyed. Nah, you were just bad, bro. Anyways, we see Captain Kuso, and he looks absolutely defeated, saying we were devoured, as he stares at Isagi Yoichi's back. Nah, the game ended and he's still glazing. You cannot make this up. It's just too funny. I'm not gonna lie, I'ma miss the Kuso glaze so much. Kuso dialogues how our passion, his ego, Onazi's evolution. Isagi drew out their awakening and pretended it was data for the Japan team. The cherry on top is Kuso's shocked face, yet again a classic of the Nigeria game, as he says Isagi used it for his own growth. How stoic is he? He's insane. And then he wraps it up saying he's the worst football machine, Isagi Yoichi. And there it is, the end of Kuso's dialogue. I know we treated Kuso as the Nigeria game punching bag, but you did pretty decent in the game, I can't deny that. And the endless laughs you provided for the viewers made this Nigeria game even more entertaining. So I gotta give you your flowers, Kuso. This Nigeria game would have probably been a lot more boring without you. Anyways, we see Onazi walk up to Kuso and start dialoguing about how he agrees Isagi is the worst egoist in the small world they live in. Kuso is surprised, saying Onazi one last time as a parting gift. This and glazing Isagi have been his only dialogue throughout the match, by the way. Onazi says he destroyed their small world, complimenting Isagi, saying he's the best footballer. He thanks Isagi, saying he was glad to meet him here, as we see the rest of the Nigeria 4 in shock, and Isagi coldly says, did it become a fun memory? Onazi just smiles and not taking any disrespect, scoffing and telling him it won't end as a memory, extending his fist towards Isagi, saying he'll surpass him, wait for him in the future, Isagi Yoichi. And does that mean an actual World Cup where we see a better Onazi and Nigeria team perform there? I don't know, I'ma leave that up to y'all to decide. Isagi tells Onazi to keep that curiosity, fist bumps him and says, let's meet again, which pretty much fully closes the curtains on the Nigeria game. We gotta give a round of applause. It had its highs and lows, but overall, I enjoyed it. However, there's definitely a lot to look forward to for the U20 World Cup. And we see that right now as we jump to the U20 German team hotel, as Kaiser returns watching the opening game. Oh my god, the Blue Rose is here, folks. I don't know why he's in his briefs. Bro thinks he's Captain Underpants. We got Kaiser fan service before GTA 6. And he gripping the hell out of this Coca-Cola can, like he wasted a perfectly good drink. And if you're wondering what the hell cola had to do with all of this, there was a little backstory on it with Kaiser, but it's way too long, so just know he used to drink it. You're probably thinking how random this is, and honestly, I agree too. Like, I swear, Kaneshiro forgot he made this chapter titled Cola, and somehow had to fit it in here. Instantly, Kaiser is back on his mad hater movement, just says what a joke, Yoichi, and that it was so bad he can't even stomach his cola. That's all the Kaiser crumbs we get though, because we jump over to itoshi Sai somewhere in Japan, and the first panel is him yawning. All the new Gen 11 are literally appearing, and instantly he just says should have scored 8-0. Dog, are we serious right now? We as viewers were already thinking that Isagi scoring another goal was greedy as hell, but this man said 8-0, hella casually too. 4-0 just won't do it for him. Sai came back in the manga, and the first two appearances is him just hate watching. He didn't even have a single care that Rin Master Destroyer mode. He cared more about getting his bangs back. I'm hella dead. He tells Japan that they make him puke, and yeah, these two are a bunch of aura farming haters. Like, they're just calling Japan mid in every way and language possible. That's all we get for Sai, though, because we jump over to the Spain hotel, and see Bunny Iglesias watching the game too. So his second appearance in the manga, and he's absolutely confused to see Isagi on the screen, realizing that he was the happy-looking kid that talked to him. Another thing I want to point out is that Bunny has scars all along his body and not just his face, which will probably play a big role in his backstory and philosophy of football. We see him give a devious look, and y'all, I do not like this a single bit. From what we've seen so far, he's shaping up narratively to be one of the strongest new gens, and now he looks like he's up to no good. He asks if he's from our side too, or the football world, and again, everything this guy says is in a cryptic awe message. Like, it can be interpreted in so many different ways. Lastly, we jump over to the France team, where we see Charles making his return too, asking Loki what he thinks about Japan's level. Loki is sprinting with his aura coming off of him, telling Charles they're just small fries with spirit that's causing some buzz. Basically saying they ain't no problem. And I gotta point this out. Peep the corner, folks. Loki is a confirmed new Gen 11. Which is quite shocking because this is the first time they talk about this. So pretty much this chapter has been all new Gen 11 so far. I do want to preface this saying we got no Lorenzo in this chapter. I don't know what happened to bro and why he didn't appear. Anyways, the next page has Charles excited that Shido is over on Japan's side and that he can't wait to play against him, asking for confirmation that Japan's second round is against France. Charles is the jolliest man in the world when it comes to talking about Shido. I mean, just look at his face. He's all sunshines and rainbows. But that's the complete opposite for Loki, because he straight up says he quickly wants to fight against Isagi Yoichi again. Continuing that he'd like to ask him whether he just happened to be born fast. And folks, of course Loki is still holding a grudge from Isagi's trash talk. I am so ready to see the Loki versus Isagi beef in this game. I already got my popcorn in anticipation. The look in his eyes as well just screams game time, and they're already up and practicing. So man, Isagi gotta watch his back because a try-harding Loki is coming for him full force. This chapter has just been fully committing to the hate on BLUELOCK, but y'all, the end of the chapter isn't here yet. Because at the bottom of the page, we see someone on the sidelines ask Loki, that Isagi Yoichi guy, is he that interesting? Loki wipes his mouth and says in response to bro, how does he appear to you? Yugo as another France new Gen 11 is revealed. Yo, what is going on right now? There is actually too much to process. Another new Gen 11 for France? And take a good look at bro's design. He's an upgraded version of Kiora Jin. He's the inner line, not the borderline. BLUELOCK just making everyone cold at this point. We haven't even seen him for a full 3 seconds, and he's wasting a no time aura farming. What possibly could he be reading here? This already tells me all I need to know. Performative man right here. Give this guy a quarter zip, a matcha, and play Biabadoobie in his ears. I still can't believe France has 2 new Gen 11s. And folks, I want you to process this man's first dialogue slowly. He straight up says Isagi's adaptation is inconsistent. Bruh. What? Isagi Yoichi, the so-called genius of adaptability up until this point, is inconsistent in adapting according to this man right here. Oh my god, folks. I'm smelling something. Something we haven't seen in so long. An adaptation battle is happening in the France game. Yugo versus Isagi Yoichi is the equivalent of Sukuna versus Maharaga. A battle of 2 smart adaptive players. This cannot be real. This is too hype. I just know this guy already got day 1 fans. Like, this is the same thing that happened with Bunny. Especially the Isagi haters. They're probably all in on the Yugo stocks right now. And life is good right now. I'm not gonna lie. Life is actually amazing. BLUELOCK has brought back so much hype with just this chapter alone. The existential threat we are facing against France, specifically Isagi Yoichi, he got Loki going after him, and now another new Gen 11, Yugo, is after him too. It's looking more and more likely that this game will end in a loss, but one last look at Yugo. He got 0 emotion in his eyes as the chapter ends off saying the target is Isagi Yoichi. France's egoists stand before Japan. Y'all, this chapter was literally cinema. From start to finish, it was just straight hype. a Super Smash Bros. Chapter. Everyone is here. I said it before and in my prediction video, having a chapter like this where we see the other characters get updates on what they're doing and see their reactions to the games, there is now a lot more to talk about than there was in the Nigeria game. We'll talk about Yugo first because that's what everyone wants to talk about. There's a few general assumptions we can make about bro. First things first, Yugo is 100% going to be a talented learner. Metavision player, smart person just like Isagi. In fact, the name Hugo literally stands for the thinker. Like, bro's name is the thinker. You can't get any better than that. And obviously, he had a read on Isagi saying his adaptation was inconsistent, which just tells us, the viewers, that his skills are above Isagi's in order to realize that, or he can just be making it all up and it's just all talk. But Yugo is a new Gen 11, so I think he's gonna be able to back up his words saying that Isagi's adaptation was inconsistent. Another thing we didn't get was his position revealed, which I assume is going to happen during the match. The two possible scenarios is him being a defender or a central attacking midfielder or a cam, mirroring Isagi's role. He has a very lean physique and we can see the separation on his shoulders to his biceps, so maybe he's a defender because he obviously trains hard and kind of has the physique to do so. However, he isn't really bulky and it's hard to base solely off of design because other forwards literally have the same build as him. I'm pretty sure Kaiser has the same build as him. It's very up in the air what his position could be right now. Regardless of that, it's crazy to think there is two new Gen 11s on a single team. That was a popular theory before the World Cup. A lot of people were saying there was going to be two on one singular team, but with that panel with all the flags talking about the new Gen 11s, it kind of shut that down. But now it's seeming like that theory with all the flags being the new Gen 11s is the one getting shut down because there was 11 flags on that panel and two new gens belong to France, so the math ain't mathing. Also, I think Charles pretty much confirmed Shido is playing in this next game. I would be genuinely surprised if he wasn't. I'm gonna make a formation video soon, but they showed specifically Shido and barou for a reason. No other characters were shown like Kunigami, Zantetsu, or Kiora. And I just gotta say, they are doing Kunigami dirty, bro. Like, I hope he gets his moment to shine soon because people are gonna grow more and more towards other characters instead of him if he keeps getting sidelined. It's important to note that this volume also ends in 3 chapters too. So it might only be a 3-chapter break before we hop into the France game if they follow the usual formula. I assume it will be 3 quick chapters before we jump into the game because they want to make the group stage go by a little quicker because, you know, we have a bunch of other games to go through, unlike the NEL where it took a lot more chapters to get into the games. We also did cover other players' reactions in this chapter, so now there's only a few things they need to cover for the last 3, if they even cover it, which is updates on Nagi Seishiro and Side B, and France game preparations. I do think the next chapter will cover one of these topics though. Chapter 327 is titled Birdcage, which I think is relating to Nagi and Side B. Side B, as we know, is another BLUELOCK inside of BLUELOCK, aka Red Key, and bird cages, like any other cage, are all about confinement. So just putting 2 and 2 together, it sounds like a bird cage is going to relate to Side B, which relates to BLUELOCK, which relates to Nagi Seishiro, which maybe you're excited for, maybe you're not. I mean, we're probably going to see his reaction to the game, as well as Kira Ryusuke making his grand return after 7 years. It's definitely going to be an interesting chapter though, because we have a zero clue about what Side B is going to be. So honestly, I'm excited for it. There's another chance Birdcage could relate to Yugo as well, because it ended off on his reveal of a cliffhanger, so maybe they delve more into his character before going into the game. But we do know Kaneshiro likes to hide his characters and reveal more of them and what we see from them during the match. This was the same thing that we saw with Charles and PXG, where we saw him a little bit teased before the game, ending on a cliffhanger of his reveal, and then learn about him during the game. I will say it's leaning more towards Nagi instead of Yugo, but at the same time, I did want Yugo to get more development before the game started, because I think once the match starts, everyone's eyes are going to be focused on Loki and Isagi instead. But hey, this new Gen 11 was just as hype, so I think we're going to be just as interested. So I guess for all the Nagi fans, y'all are probably going to be eating good. I'm so excited for BLUELOCK. Like, it's just going to get more and more hype as the weeks go on and more is revealed. This chapter was a perfect way to really pick up where the Nigeria game ended and just make everyone that much more hyped for the France game. Anyways, that about wraps it up for this video. Sorry if my voice was a little scratchy. I don't even know if you can tell on the video, but during my reaction to this chapter, I literally lost my voice, so like recording this is a little hard right now. Make sure to leave any thoughts you have down below as well. What are your thoughts on Yugo, any predictions you have, any comments on this chapter in general, because there was a lot of things to talk about. And if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. As always, YouTube really thinks you like this video right here, so be sure to check that one out too. I love y'all so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one.